A new franchise record, 155 points allowed by the Raptors against the Grizzlies. It was the Ja Morant and Zach Edey show. The Raptors lose their 9th in a row. Darko Rajakovic goes absolutely berserk on the referees. Let's go to the film room. Zach Edey showed out against his hometown team, dropping 21 points, 16 rebounds, 9 of which were offensive, and 2 blocks. This is the really intriguing stuff from Edey, who took 5 threes and just made his first one, but as he continues to develop that touch and the touch that he has around the basket, I'm excited to see how he's able to stretch the floor like that. If he's taking 5 right now and making 1, eventually more of those will go down. Really love the pairing with him and Ja Morant. Ja's driving gravity makes things so easy for Edey on the inside, and you can imagine how that would look on Team Canada with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 2028, folks. Great dive to the basket here, and honestly, some really poor defense from Kelly Olynyk. Edey ends up with the bucket, and Kelly really struggled on defense tonight. I thought that was a big reason why Edey was able to dominate. No Jakob Poeltl, so the size disadvantage, and Edey just feasted. Really great job on the offensive glass. Just corrals this rebound to give the Grizzlies an extra opportunity. Really love the two-man game with Ja and Edey. So here, pick and roll. Then he sets up for a post-up. Great job by Luke Kennard finding him. And then a nice post-hook shot. That is the touch that Edey has inside that I think will eventually translate on the outside. Again, more of that offensive rebounding with this tip-in. The Grizzlies, by the way, had 74 rebounds in this game. More second chance opportunities, and just his size makes it so easy for him to corral these rebounds. Love this post move on Kelly through the contact lefty hook. And again, more of that connection with Ja Morant. Nice little alley-oop for the finish. And so Zach Edey was awesome tonight. Really, really impressive. Maybe he knew that his Least Side crew was watching this one. I'm not sure, but it was a really great game from him, the rookie. Really great game from Jalen Wells, too. So these Grizzlies rookies just showed out against the Raptors. But also everybody showed out against the Raptors, folks. 155 points allowed. That is a franchise record. The last time was 152 in 1998 by the LA Clippers. That 1998 Raptors team was atrocious. If you go back and look, it ended up resulting in Vince Carter. That draft, 98, I believe, was the draft that they selected Vince Carter. So maybe a silver lining there for you guys to keep in mind. That being said, atrocious basketball game. 155 points allowed. And it was so much so, obviously Darko Rajakovic got ejected in this game. He was not happy with some of the non-calls. And brother, you might be not happy with some of the defensive effort from your team. It was absolutely atrocious. It was very, very bad. And funny enough, the Raptors still ended up dropping 126 points, still ended up catching up in this game. It was, I believe, 33-14 midway through the first quarter. And the Raptors caught up. They outscored them, I believe, 42-16 for the next 12 minutes or 18 minutes. They ended up catching up. I think it was like 78-70 at halftime, which is an absurd score even by 2024, 2025 standards. 78-70 is absurd. The Raptors fought back in this game. It just felt like they initially, the first 6 minutes, they were just going to lay down. Jacoby Walter is injured. Jamal Shead is injured. No Emmanuel Quickley. No Jakob Poeltl. We know the list of injuries for the Raptors. It just felt like they were going to lay down and lose their 9th game in a row. They still ended up losing their 9th game in a row. They still ended up with a pretty bad result. 155 points allowed is just atrocious, even by 2024 standards. But at the same time, it's kind of weird. This was a very weird game, because, look, they fought back. They showed resilience. I thought they had some entertaining moments. A really great game from RJ Barrett, who I believe notched his, second or third triple-double, almost notched a triple-double, had 1 rebound taken away, but was effective in this game. Scotty Barnes, I'll get to in a second as well. There were flashes and moments from Grady Dick. I thought the second unit with Davion Mitchell and Jonathan Mobo and Chris Boucher really helped ignite that comeback in the first and second quarter. But you still end up losing by 30. And you allow 155 points. So what went wrong? It was the defensive effort. It was a terrible, terrible defensive performance. I talked about Edey just now and how he cooked Kelly Olynyk. When the Grizzlies established that on the inside, it was over from there, right? 74 rebounds. That is absurd. Most teams average like 50 rebounds a game. 74 is absurd. It's crazy. 50 might be even too high, but 74 from a team in the NBA is absolutely absurd. And I think that was the reason, the Grizzlies and actually, funny enough, the Grizzlies and Raptors ended up shooting the same amount of shots, 109 to 108. Maybe that's a bit of garbage time. I think by the end of the fourth quarter, it was 10 extra shots for the Grizzlies. And rebounding was a huge factor in that. Zach Edey was a huge factor in that. Generating second chance opportunities was a huge factor in that. The Grizzlies are the best transition team in the NBA. I've written about it at Sportscasting. Basically, they're on pace to be maybe one of the greatest transition teams in NBA history. You saw it tonight, right? Really, really great. They run. They're very quick. They get shots up like crazy. And I think this Grizzlies team is really good. That being said, the Raptors had a really piss poor effort defensively. And I think ultimately, like, they have to look at themselves because they gave up, I think, 139 against the Knicks the other time they played. And it hasn't looked good. And by the way, have to caveat all this with the fact that Jakob Poeltl is not there. And I hope everybody who is saying trade Jakob Poeltl understands the importance of what Jakob Poeltl brings to this team in terms of the baseline of competency on the defensive end. Because this team just falls apart without Jakob. And there is no real backup big man because Kelly Olynyk is more of a 4, and he really, really struggles on the defensive end. And especially at his age, just isn't able to keep up with the pace of the Grizzlies. We saw that tonight. Thought he had some pretty good offensive moments, not the best on the defensive end. And so you get a really, really bad defensive team. We're seeing how bad the Raptors are defensively without Jakob Poeltl. And so the Raptors got cooked, y'all. Darko Rajakovic gets ejected. Very funny moment, honestly. Very funny moment. He was mad that Scotty Barnes got fouled on a drive. And he just went berserk, just went crazy on the referees. Didn't even do his post-game press conference. It was Pat Delaney, lead assistant for the Raptors, who ended up doing the post-game press conference. And Pat, who is basically the defensive coordinator for this Raptors team, said it was a terrible effort. Said, like, it is inexcusable for the Raptors to allow 155 points. And he's right. Like, that is 100% right. You can't allow 155 points in an NBA basketball game, not even in 2024, 2025. That is for your viewership and three-point shooting problem, people that like to talk about that. Want to talk about Scotty Barnes because, as you guys know, I've been away for the last few weeks, I guess, and I'll address that in a second. But Scotty ended up having 26 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. And I thought it was his best game since returning from injury. Now, I've been able to watch all of the Raptors games that I didn't end up doing a recap for. There has been a huge conversation about Scotty's lack of aggression, the crazy three-point shots, crazy three-point shooting. I think Sampson mentioned it on Twitter. Maybe he mentioned it on his podcast. I can't remember. But like 30 of his last 35 shots have been from outside the paint, which is just, it's crazy. Scotty Barnes is an incredible driver. Not driver, but Scotty Barnes is a great, interior presence. He's so good at being a bully. He's so good at hunting out mismatches. And so for him to have 30 of his last 35 shots come from outside of the paint is an absurd statistic. It shouldn't be the case. And to me, and to many others, and to Coach Darko Rajakovic, even to Scotty Barnes himself, it is an injury thing. Not even him not being 100%, but him mentally not being 100% or trusting his body. I think that's a different discussion than him not being 100% with his actual ankle, because I don't think the Raptors would just trot him out there if he wasn't 100%. I know people talk about the 65 game rule and all that type of stuff. I don't think it's in the Raptors' best interest to force Scotty Barnes back. I don't think it's in the best interest for Scotty Barnes to force Scotty Barnes back. I also don't think that, given the Raptors where they are statistically in the season and where they're headed season-wise, that Scotty would even be eligible for an all-star berth or an all-NBA team. Scotty would have to be absurd statistically with as bad of a team as the Raptors are for him to even be in that conversation. And so I don't think it's a forcing him back into the lineup type of thing. I think it is a mental thing, not in the sense that he's mentally not being able to get to that part, but that sometimes when you aren't physically feeling yourself 100%, the mental part is the biggest lapse. I'm not going to compare myself to Scottie here, but I've had a lot of injuries playing basketball, and most of the process of getting back to playing basketball is trusting your body again. And I think we can all agree with that, right? I think we can all relate to that. If you've ever been injured ever in your life, you'll understand that like most of the process is getting back to where you need to be mentally. Not comparing myself to an NBA player. I would be foolish to. I don't have the training regimen or anything like that, or even the BMI, right? I don't. But I think that is part of the equation. That being said, this was Scottie's best game since returning from injury. Let's break it down. After an invisible first stint with the Raptors tonight, Scotty Barnes came in with the bench and was really, really assertive. Great job in the pick and roll, finding Jonathan Mobo. Love how quickly he got into that action. Defensively, did a great job on Jaren Jackson Jr., forcing him into tough shots. Watch him here just really be in his grill the entire time. And this is what sparked the Raptors' run. Like I mentioned earlier, this is exactly the type of Scottie Barnes that brought the Raptors back into this game. He took 13 shots in the paint. A few of them were like this, getting the mismatch in the post. Nice job settling on a turnaround fadeaway over the smaller defender. That's becoming a bit of a patent shot of his, and I don't mind that. I know you want him to mostly go through, but the fact that he's developing that as a counter, really impressive. Another great defensive possession on Jaren Jackson Jr. just forces him into a tough shot, but I still thought there were some uneven moments. Like, early in the shot clock here, in transition, pulling up with 20 seconds left. I'm not sure I love that shot. But on the other side, hunting down the mismatch in transition, finding Jake LaRavia, and just battling through inside to finish, that is the Scottie Barnes I know. And just look how much his driving gravity creates an opportunity for his teammates. Look how many white jerseys are keyed in on Scottie here on this drive. Again, I don't mind this fadeaway jumper over the smaller defender. In fact, I invite it. I think it's good. I think it's great development. But I'm not in love with this early in transition, a pull-up mid-range jump shot with 20 seconds left over Jaren Jackson Jr. That doesn't make sense developmentally for me. But I love this, pushing it in transition, finding the cutting Kelly. Great job of pushing it and setting the tone. Another great job here in transition. Hunts out the mismatch of Jalen Wells and finishes through contact. Pushing it in transition again, finding Ochai for the cut, and he draws a foul. Thought he did a good job of getting downhill, especially in the second half. Great job attacking the basket. That was actually the play that resulted in Darko Rajakovic getting ejected. He was mad that there wasn't a foul on that one. Thought he was pretty good as a screener tonight too, working in the fringes of the offense to be able to finish on the inside. And so Scottie overall had a pretty good game statistically. It was kind of uneven. There were moments where it felt like he wasn't engaged or involved. There were moments where it felt like he was his regular old all-star self. And I think that is the process of coming back mentally from that type of injury, where the ankle and whatnot, and trusting your ankle. All that being said, really tough game for the Raptors. Encouraging stuff from Scottie to eventually get back to what he usually is. But man, it is slim pickings in terms of good things, good vibes to bring off for the Raptors. Yes, they are injured. Yes, they are young. Yes, their development is part of the process. And losing games like this certainly is a nice punch in the face to kind of re-coordinate that and recalibrate. But you just can't allow 155 points. I'm sorry. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Obviously, the coaching staff is not going to be happy. I think the coaching staff needs to see what went wrong there. And truthfully, I think a lot of that is just missing Jakob Poeltl on the inside, because the Grizzlies just dominated from that perspective. It was a game. It was a game for sure. That is definitely a basketball game that I've watched. It was ugly. All right, so as people know, if you know me, you know that I hate missing work. If you know me and you know me in my personal life, you know how much I hate missing work, how much I do not like to miss games or not be covering the team and giving you guys the content that I would like to, because that's just me. I want to be in it all the time. I want to provide you guys with the best content, especially because this Raptors season is, it's not necessarily the best Raptors season. I want to make sure you guys are having fun throughout it, especially the subscribers here for the Raptors Republic. It is my number one goal to make sure that you guys are having as much fun, are engaged, are loving this stuff as much as I love this stuff. So I hate when I miss games, and I've missed the last 4 or 5 games recap-wise. If you've been watching this long enough, you're probably wondering, hey, where did those recaps, what happened? Just had something happen in my personal life. All healthy, everybody's good, but had a bit of a health scare for a family member, and we are now good. We're all good, all safe, all good. It was a tough time during the holidays, but we're back and we're ready to go. So if anybody is wondering, appreciate you guys for still tuning in. Appreciate you guys for holding down the fort here for me. It was a tough couple of weeks here, not going to lie to you, but appreciate it. As always, thank you very much for everybody who's tuning in again. Really, really appreciate you guys. And I hate that I have to like walk away from this stuff to deal with that. It's now sorted. And we're back to these recaps, back to Raptors basketball, hopefully back to winning. Appreciate you guys as always. Subscribe to the Raptors Republic channel. Enjoy. Oh, I wanted to mention viewership and three-point shooting stuff. Please stop talking about it. It's done. Let's give it up. I had to shave my beard because I just wanted a fresh start. I wanted y'all to stop talking about viewership. I'm shaving this because I'm done with this conversation. No, I'm kidding. That's not why I shaved it. But I ultimately was just, this conversation has been exhausting when it comes to viewership and TV. And I hope people can see the rationale now after an incredible Christmas Day slate. It was awesome. It was great basketball. Hopefully the Raptors can get back to great basketball, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in. Subscribe, like, do all the things you guys usually do. We'll see you guys later. Take care.